When I was a young kid in Queens, I used to just
This reminds me of when I was Jenny on the block.
when I was Jill on the block. When I was a young kid in Queens, and if you know, you know.
That orange drink.
That orange drink. It's not a thing.
No.
Hello, and welcome to the Slightly Off Plan podcast. My name is Jillian, and I am joining my friend Kait in Portugal, where we talk about how she ended up moving there, why she went from not wanting kids to wanting kids, and how she uses her platform to promote loving yourself and your body. So stay tuned. This is a fun one.
Yay! Wow! Look!
We're here.
Okay, cool. Your posture's so good.
Oh, well, I mean, it's my job.
I feel like I'm moving like this the entire time.
That's okay.
I feel like I sit like a gremlin. I'm going to try, though, because now that I'm looking at you, all I want to do is like...
You need to take some of my classes.
I know. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Everyone watching, take her classes.
Get better posture.
Do the right thing. Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Anytime.
Thanks for having me. Well, thanks for having me, because right now we're in Lisbon.
Mm-hmm.
Also, not one episode has been shot in the same place.
That makes it fun. Maybe that should be like part of it.
I know.
Surprise.
Yes. Where's she going to be next?
Where's it next?
So I know Kait from, we used to work at a casual fine dining restaurant in Midtown that is actually no longer at that location.
It seems crazy still that it's not there.
I actually can't. I haven't been on 53rd and 54th and 3rd.
If you know, you know.
If you know. If you know, you know. So that's where me and Kait met, and that was when we were in our early mid-20s.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we both looked exactly the same.
22, 23.
That was over a decade
I
ago,
know.
which is crazy to think about. There is something about working in a restaurant, in a restaurant in general. Like restaurant culture is a thing for sure, but specifically like a New York City casual fine dining restaurant in Midtown.
Yeah.
And so like we've trauma bonded.
We have. The amount of guests that yelled at us because we were on a wait and couldn't do anything about it, where you're like, do you see the 90 million people around here?
We were very busy. I will say about the restaurant, very good food.
Yeah.
And like as a customer, I could see why it was a
popular.
lovely place to go. But to work there was traumatizing. And have you ever cried in have you ever cried in the restaurant?
Okay. Many times.
Where have you cried in that restaurant?
The back walk-in?
Yeah.
Yes. But like every time, or sometimes the walk-in in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But really where you got the ice.
Did you watch The Bear?
Yes.
So like when Carmi's character was like locked in the, and he starts crying. Yeah, I was like, been there.
Yes. Well, it was good too because it's cold. So when you're really pale like me and you turn beet red when you're crying, it's not as bad.
It's good for your skin, if anything. Good times.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we don't do that anymore.
Yes. Nothing's more like fun and then also awful at once as to like work in a busy restaurant.
There's nothing like it was fun and exciting and quick and exhausting and terrifying and unpredictable. But then we would all go out afterwards and get like fucking wasted.
Hammered.
So yeah, and one of the lovely things about our friendship is that after that restaurant, after we trauma bonded at that restaurant, you at some point moved to Lisbon. So our friendship has lasted a decade of not living in the same place. 2 states, 2 countries. Technically 3 countries. 2 states, 3 countries. Yeah. What's the third country?
Your country.
Oh yeah.
You live in another
Oh
country.
duh, yeah. I don't... None of us are in. Everyone leave America. We're the poster children for leaving America.
Expats everywhere.
Immigrants. Yes. So obviously this podcast is about talking about what makes us non-conventional, atypical, quirky, just very non-linear paths, not the
off the norm
path of college, then
career, Marriage.
partner, marriage, baby, dog, everything. We have done, I've done none of the things. She has a husband. Or,
We're married.
Legally she has a husband.
Sounds so weird. We're legally married. We never had an official wedding.
Yeah. The documents are signed.
Yes.
And, do you call him your husband? Or are you just like...
Yeah, it's just easier.
Oh, that's so cute.
But, I started calling him my husband even before we were married.
Oh, that's really cute.
Because we've been together for, like, almost a decade.
Yeah. Yeah, I predate Eric.
You do? Yeah. Uh-huh.
I was here before the Eric era. But yeah, so, like, obviously you have gone from New York to Austin to Lisbon. So we're gonna go through that entire journey. Yeah. But let's start in New York, because you're not from New York.
No.
What brought you to New York?
I came to New York after I finished my degree, and I went to school for dance, which is kind of a funny little thing.
Parents love when you take when you go into the arts.
It was funny because like my parents were like supportive, but my dad also like I remember him saying like, "Look, money doesn't make you happy, but it does make things a lot easier." And he was like, "You can do whatever you want to, but just know that."
Yeah.
Like, oh.
I feel like kind of on the money thing. I feel like. And again, everyone like comes into how they think about money differently. When I was growing up, I was very much like, I just want enough to be happy and like healthy and comfortable, which is such a privileged thing to think.
Yeah.
And now that I'm older, I just want to be rich.
Yes.
Because it does make things easier.
Yeah.
And so like, by no means do I think that I should have focused only on money, because that's obviously you don't want to go too far in one direction. But I wish I was better with money then, so that I could be richer now.
Yeah, I know that feeling too.
But anyway, that's a whole different topic for a probably a different type of podcast. So dance brought you to New York.
Went to school in St. Louis, and when I graduated, I already had some friends out in New York, and so it was either New York or San Francisco, and I went with New York.
Yay! That worked out well for me.
All the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, and when I moved to New York, it's not as if I had like a plan or a goal to be there for a certain period of time. But I just, I wanted to move, and realistically, I think even in college, I was a little worn out of dance. And so when I got there, while I wanted to dance, I kind of also did not, it wasn't as an intense of a passion after, like, college really wore me out dance-wise.
Interesting. Okay. Because, like, obviously, like, what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to do is we need to know what we want to do by the time we get to college, and then we do that thing. And I would say that is probably one of the few conventional things that I have done is like, I was like, I want to be a math teacher, so I'm going to school for math, and then I became a math teacher, which was actually really funny at the restaurant because everyone at the restaurant were actors. Yeah, it was in the arts, right? And I was one of the very few who was like, I'm a math major. and constantly people would be like, oh, are you an actress? Are you an actor or whatever? And I'd be like, no, I'm a mathematician. Which was always really funny. And now look at me. Now I'm in the arts, I guess. So you were already, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. So like I did dance a little in New York, and then I even did dance still once I got to Austin, but it was also kind of like I was pretty okay with the idea that like my income and my career wouldn't be like dance as a whole.
Okay.
And so like I wasn't sure exactly what it was going to be, but movement, and obviously, so luckily I, being a poor server in New York, the reason that like I fell into yoga and Pilates is because I saw an ad for a studio that was offering a training as a free training if you taught there afterwards. So I was like, oh, well, I get a free like gym membership, and I can like learn. And I'd done yoga and Pilates in college. They had Pilates for dancers as like a course. And so at first I was like, oh, I'll just do this because I don't have any money and like I need to have a gym membership and a job. But yeah, so it kind of worked out.
I feel like I kind of remember this.
Yeah.
I feel like this was like somewhere in the Hillstone. Oh wow.
I think I'd done, because I did 2 big trainings while in New York for Pilates, and I think that I started the second big one right when I started at Hillstone.
Wow, it's all coming back to me.
But it was a pain in the ass because like I was living in Astoria at the time, working in Midtown, and then the training was down in Dumbo.
You had like obviously like I'm like a born and bred New Yorker, but you had such a New York experience.
Yeah.
Like you have like living in Astoria, working in Dumbo and the city.
Yeah.
And like you just had like such a New York experience, like a very, very New York experience while you were in New York.
I did a lot while I was there.
Yeah. You were there for 8 years. 5 years.
Yeah, not
5
quite,
years.
yeah.
5 years.
8 in Austin.
8 in Austin. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite stories about you is how you got to Austin, because you moved to Austin you decided to move to Austin without ever having been in Austin, which is insane in the best way. Like, that's so cool. Because like I can't travel anywhere without knowing where I'm going. Like I have to look at Google Maps. And like the bravest thing that I did like recently was like today on my run, I just ran. Normally I know where I'm going.
Just exploring.
Just exploring. But you fully moved, which is so badass and so atypical, non-conventional, trailblazing, unorthodox.
There we go. Got them all in there.
Got it all in there. How?
So like the last year or so I was in New York, I think that I knew that I was ready to try something else because I knew that I wasn't going to commit to like how expensive it was to live in New York, especially for like the industry that I was in. I'm like, I would have to become like a celebrity Pilates instructor to like really afford to live there.
Yeah.
So,
which
obviously I'm, amazing.
Do you guys know who this is?
I'm very well known on the interwebs. No.
Pilates by Kait. Click below. Oh, I've never done that before. Click below to go to Pilates by Kait.
But yeah, no. One of our mutual friends was also thinking about moving at the time, Lee. And so I was thinking about moving to Boulder or San Diego. And then she was like, oh, I'm moving to Austin. I think you'd like Austin. And so many of our other mutual friends were like, Kait, you will love Austin. That is, but there was always the caveat, move to Austin, don't go anywhere else in Texas. And so then what's funny is that Lee decided not to, she stayed in New York. And I was like, well, I'm still going to go. And so, I was like, Austin's where I'm going to go.
That's so cool. I remember at the time, I remember telling my mom. And my mom was like, oh, Kait is she's going to Austin. Has she been to Austin before? I don't know. My mom loves Kait. She calls her Katie. My mom calls you the pretty one.
I take that. I will take that compliment.
My mom's always, she's always like, oh, Katie, the pretty one. The one who's always on her toes.
That is true, yes.
The dancer in Kait is always on her, in her releve.
Just tiptoeing around.
Katie, the pretty one. On her toes. Anyway, so
But so I just decided to move sight unseen for the most part. Although, funnily enough, my cousin was getting married there about 2 weeks before I officially moved. So technically, I did see Austin before I stepped foot there, living there. But I already decided to move.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How funny would that have been if, like, during your cousin's wedding, or like the time you were there, you're just like, no, fuck Austin. Not for me, thanks.
On the one hand, it was really hot during her wedding, and I remember thinking, damn, this is what I'm like getting into. But I was also really ready to be done with the cold. The last 2 winters I was in New York were rough. They were particularly.
New York winters will do that to you.
Wearing like 3 pairs of long underwear.
So then you got to Austin, And so already just like unconventional, like not doing the things that we're supposed to do. So you get to Austin, and so the interesting thing about that is, so like when you moved to Austin, that was about
15.
20. Oh, like how old were you though? 20.
I was about to be 27.
27.
Yeah.
27. Yeah. So that, I feel like so at 27, I feel like is the age where we're like kind of expected to get married.
Yeah.
Expected to like already be like putting in the things in place to settle down. And you were like, I'm moving to somewhere where I've never been before.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
So tell me about, yeah. And I like, there's something really, really fun about starting over.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, I did that a little bit later in life, but that's how I got to London. And London was just like, I was just like, I need something new and I need something fresh.
Yeah.
And I don't feel ready to settle down. I don't feel ready to do what's expected of me. I also just don't feel like I've lived enough.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was my thing when I finally moved to London. I was like, I just, like, at that point, I had never lived anywhere else.
Yeah.
I had
I
had only lived in Queens.
Small town New York girl.
Yeah. I'm like a Queens girl through and through. Like
I lived in 3 different states by the time that we met.
Yeah. I've moved in total like 4 times in my life, and you moved to
like 4 times within the last year.
Yeah, actually. Because like after I left New York, no, not even. After I left my parents' house, I moved 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is a really Queens thing to do.
Yeah.
Or just like a New York thing to do. And you, did not. Because I didn't go away to college.
No. Yeah.
I stayed home. I was boring. Anyway, so you get to Austin, and like how far ahead had you planned at that time?
You know, it's funny when the part of the reason that I picked Austin instead of choosing San Diego or Boulder. San Diego I kind of X'd out because it was also equally as expensive as New York. I mean, not equally, but still it's a very pricey spot. And so I kind of X'd that out. And then Boulder is where my sister lives and where a lot of my family is. And so in my head I was like, I can move to Boulder at any point in my life, and that's going to be an easier transition because I simply have the infrastructure of family.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I was like, you know what? I'm not ready to settle down. I'm not ready to do anything. So if I move to Austin and I'm only there for a year and it's just an adventure, that's fine. But maybe I'll move there and I'll love it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was kind of like a toss-up. And then also, I'd spent a lot of time both in the Midwest, the West, and the like Northeast.
Yeah.
I like Austin.
All American
right?
girl.
But like Austin is really the only part of the South that I've spent much time in.
Yeah. And Austin was great.
Yeah.
That's where you met Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about Eric.
Yes. Well, and again, to the like
spirit of the
what was that? The word I'm trying to look for is like to the credit of working at restaurants again. When I moved to Austin, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I didn't know anyone. But randomly, a friend that I'd worked at a restaurant in St. Louis with in college saw on Facebook that I was there and was like, "Hey, come have lunch with me. I'm bartending." And then she was like, oh, funnily enough, her and her husband were moving to New York right after I had just moved there from New York.
You know, switcheroo.
Yeah, and she's like, do you want a job? Do you need a job? And I was like, yes, I do. And she's like, great, you can be the daytime bartender here. And this was the best thing she said. She's like, you're not going to make very much money at this place, but you'll make great friends. And I was like, amazing, because I need friends. I have no one.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh, that's so fun.
So Eric was a server there, and I was our bartender for like brunch and most of the lunches.
The classic combo. The classic server-bartender combo.
Got him to bring all the kegs up to me when I was feeling lazy.
I mean, that's how you plant the seeds.
Exactly.
And the funny thing about you and Eric, you both didn't want, like, I guess marriage, or like, how should I word that?
Oh no, he always knew he wanted marriage and kids.
Oh, he did want marriage and kids.
Yeah,
okay,
no,
he was in his bachelor
single year.
He was in his single eras.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, fair enough.
Yeah,
we've all been there.
I think that he thought he'd probably be like, you know, kind of like a George Clooney kind of a thing, where he like had like
later,
like, you know, when he was like 40 or 50.
Okay, gotcha.
yeah.
And then, but you...
No, I very much did not want... By the time that we met, I think I knew I wanted a partner. Whether or not we got married or not was irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
But like, I definitely grew up thinking I don't want kids and I don't want to get married. I wanted to be single and independent.
A little Samantha Jones lifestyle.
That kind of a thing.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Because that's like, you'll see it online, with like a lot of Instagram accounts of women that have chosen to not have kids, like full stop. I do not want offspring in any form, a human form. And there is so much around that. I've never understood it, but like people get offended. People take it personally.
Yeah.
People are like, you don't want children?
What was kind of funny too was when before Eric and I met and before we were committed and I did know that I wanted kids with him, and I would tell people I didn't want kids. What was kind of funny too is I work with a lot of kids. I teach a lot of kids dance and kids yoga. I nannied for a long time. I'm good with kids. I like kids. I'm not one of those adults that's like, oh, I don't like kids.
Yeah.
And so, in fact, one of my employers in Austin once, I was a children's yoga teacher there. And I think I made a comment about, oh, no, I don't want kids. And she goes, what do you mean you don't want kids? You're so good with kids. I can't believe that. Like, she was astounded.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like you can be good and amazing with kids and still not, like, want to, like, wrap them up in your life.
Yeah. I will say, when I was working at the high school, one of the teachers I remember was, like, really good with kids. And I don't know how the conversation got brought up, but basically... the conversation came up that they didn't want kids. And I had that reaction. I was like, but you're so good with kids. Like, I can't believe that you don't want kids. And not that I was like taking it offensive. I was just like kind of surprised. Like, I don't know. Now in retro, I feel silly.
Part of the, like, now as an older, not an older adult, but like in my 30s, obviously, when I think about why I didn't want kids is because I feel like the trope when we were growing up, like shows like Everybody Loves Raymond or a lot of those shows that were based around family where the dad is like funny but like a doofus and doesn't do any help around the house.
Yeah.
Like that. And it's unfair because like that's not my dad. He was a very involved dad and parent. Like it's not like I was looking at him and being like, oh, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But like I feel like the normal idea in like the 90s and early 2000s was like that the dad doesn't do anything and that like the mom is constantly nagging and getting everything done. And I was like, I don't want that to be my life. Like it wasn't about not wanting kids. It was really about like, I don't want to be a single mom.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so like
it is so interesting how like TV shows, I mean this is the basis of everything is like TV shows like shape what we think the world is. And
so like when Eric and I met and he talked about wanting to have kids, not that I won't name a specific ex, but a specific ex that you know, did want kids, but he very much he knew nothing about kids, and the way he talked about them, I'm like, you want a mini me, you want a playmate, you don't want to be a parent.
Yeah.
But like Eric and I, when that conversation would come up, and when like one of his friends had a kid when we were actually like within the first year of our relationship, and we would sometimes co-babysit this little baby.
Oh,
and,
that's really cute.
Yeah, and he knew how to change a diaper already. He knew how to hold a baby already. He grew up with lots of young cousins.
Yeah.
And so like when he said he wanted to have kids, he wanted to be a parent and be a partner.
Oh.
So that's why I knew that I wanted to have kids with him.
That's so cute.
I have
Eric.
I'll show you a picture later. It's somewhere. It's old on my phone, but I have a picture of him where he's holding our friend's infant child, and I remember sitting there looking at him, being like, "Oh my God, like you were so turned on." Body, stop it! We're not ready for that yet.
But that's real though. Yeah. That is real. Like whenever, in the few times that I have seen like guys that I'm interested in around babies, and they're good with the babies, I'm like, oh God,
there's something.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
That's I will say that is something that is now kind of hitting me as I am getting older, and like my ovaries are just like aching. My ovaries are like on overdrive. Whenever I see a guy with like being a good dad, I'm like, oh, that is so hot. cute. So now, so you do want kids,
Yes.
or is it okay? So you do want kids. Okay, that's exciting.
Yes.
And I first of all, like, I think that's so cute that you're just like, oh, I want his kids.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want kids. I want Eric and I's
you
kids. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's like a cool thing to highlight, the fact that you just changed your mind.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's this thing where if you say something when you're 20 and you switch it, everyone's like, but this is what you said.
Well, and like not only that, but even with like the atypical kind of conversation, one thing that I think I have realized is atypical about myself in general is there are very few things in life to me that are truly black or white. Like there's so much nuance, there's so much gray.
Sorry, I had to. You were my first white guest of the
We can play with that all you want to. Basic white bitch here.
Yeah.
Do you remember one time? But do you remember one time when we one night we were out with Tyron? Oh my God, was that his name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or I was like, wait a minute, did I say the wrong thing? No.
Yeah.
But I got really drunk, and then the next day we were all like out at the back table, the back booth table by the bathrooms. Ooh. I just remember him looking at me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so hungover. And he's like, yeah, you got drunk. You got white girl wasted.
Oh, remember white girl wasted? Wow, hold on. We gotta go back to white girl wasted because we don't use white girl wasted anymore. But that was the thing.
But I feel like I was the token white girl in that friend group, and I was always the white girl wasted.
No, I don't think you ever got like, because I feel like white girl wasted was like.
That's true. I wasn't that messy.
Yeah, you weren't messy. You were
I
not.
just,
I don't remember you being
no,
messy drunk.
No.
I was also drunk, so I don't know.
Maybe once or twice.
Yeah. Like, who amongst us has not been white girl wasted?
You've not had a good life if you've never been white girl wasted.
Exactly. What is white girl wasted?
What
was like it was just like, why? Let's talk about how white girl wasted came.
I don't know. Maybe it's because like sometimes like, you know, like I feel like it was always like a petite white girl that just had one too many fruity cocktails. Not that I even drank like fruity.
I think that was part of white girl wasted though, is that like you got like wasted
like
on wine.
Four Loko.
Four Loko. Jesus Christ. Four Loko. This was before White Claw.
Yes.
So I feel like that's a whole different thing.
That is a whole different thing.
Yeah. Let's not even go. I hate White Claws.
I do too.
I hate White Claws.
I don't get the appeal at all.
It tastes like, I saw a meme once, and this is exactly how I would describe White Claw. When you drink a White Claw, it tastes like someone is yelling the name of a fruit in a different room. That is what a White Claw tastes like.
I also just don't get the point of like buying like prepackaged cocktails because like most of those cocktails are so freaking easy to make. You like just buy La Croix and vodka or gin, and you will have saved yourself a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be better.
Yeah, and you don't have to go around saying "ain't no laws when we drinking claws," which the American me loves. I mean, I love an obnoxious saying. I feel like
nothing wrong with that.
I hate White Claws, but I love saying that. So if anyone around me orders it, I'll say it a few times until someone's like, okay, Jill, we get it.
Enough.
They've actually, I don't know, are they here, White Claws? Are they in Portugal?
I don't think so.
They have slowly made their way into England.
I don't know. Maybe they are, and I'm just not aware because like, it's not. I don't care about them.
Yeah. Fuck White Claws. Anyway, so white girl wasted. So you got white girl wasted. But yeah, I don't think you were ever sloppy.
No, not normally.
Oh, we had some good times.
I know.
I could not drink the way that I drank at that age again.
No.
Yesterday, I had a single Aperol Spritz, and by the time we got back, I had a slight headache.
Oh!
One Aperol Spritz.
To be fair, we were out in the sun. I feel like that always makes it a little...
the sun, yeah. But we would, at the restaurant, we would work until, if we were working the night shift on like a Friday, let's say.
Yeah. Close at 11?
We'd close at 11. We'd have our side work until about like 12:30. And then someone would go, let's go to Murphy's or Mulligan's.
The most...
It was very
Irish.
Irish.
Yes, it was very Irish.
And then we would just be there until like 2, 3 a.m.
Yes. And then sometimes we'd go other places.
We'd bar hop a little bit. And we'd make some bad decisions.
Yes.
The amount of mediocre white guys that I have made out with in that time era.
single. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Do you have any, like, I'm trying to think of any, like, particular moments where we had just, like, have we ever, like, made out with, like, hooked up with guys, like, at a bar or something?
You know what? I don't know if it's quite the same thing, but do you remember when we went out to the Hamptons?
Yes.
When, like, with the,
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So this restaurant had a branch in the Hamptons, and I worked at that branch for a little bit. And there was one weekend where
You were dating some guy that had, like, a decent amount of money.
Yeah, he did have a lot of money. It was a complete dick.
Yes.
But cha-ching, cha-ching.
Uh-huh.
And he was handsome. He was like a good-looking guy.
He was a good-looking guy.
Yeah, he was a good-looking guy, but a dick. Which was like the taste. In mid-20s, like basic white guy dick taste. Like that's what we did. Yeah, and he had a house out there, or he had like a friend's house.
Something like that.
And we stayed at that house.
Well, and remember when we went to that bar and we had bottle service all night, and like the girls kept coming out with like the bottle and like the
little
sparkler,
yeah,
dancing around.
That was a different time.
Yeah,
that was a different. Now I get headaches after one Aperol spritz. that is 36.
Ooh, yeah, nothing like a 36-year-old hangover.
Oh my god. So, what I also find very interesting about you is how did you get to Lisbon?
Yeah, so part of that is due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
When the pandemic happened, I was working at a pretty high-end wellness resort in Austin, and that obviously closed for a few months, so I got furloughed, and Eric started working from home. And we're both, stuck at home and thinking about, what's in the future for us, and I thought he wanted to stay in Austin, and I had kind of made my peace with that we would do a lot of traveling, but we would live here, there.
I like the phrasing, I've made my peace with it. Were you, did you feel any type of way about Austin?
So I only say that, it's interesting because the only time the two of us ever had a conversation about potentially breaking up, he brought up maybe 2 years into our relationship that he knew that I liked to travel and do different things, and that he wasn't interested in leaving Austin because at that time he wanted to go into politics.
Okay.
And living in the capital of Texas, kind of makes more sense. And he was worried that I would be resentful of staying there, and so he didn't want to hold me back.
Fair enough. Very sweet.
Yeah. But we had a conversation about it, and obviously I was like, I've never had a reason to stay anywhere, and if you're the reason, I'm okay with that too,
The reason is you. Oh, that's so sweet. Okay.
But yeah, so when the pandemic happened, we kind of started talking about moving or just plan Bs because,
the 2020 election?
It was a little stressful, especially.
Or the 2024 election because
it's
the
same damn thing.
The same frickin' election.
It's wild that it's the same.
Why are we doing this, America?
I don't know.
No one wants this.
No. But yeah, so I was like, is this a plan B if we're in a civil war? Do you actually want to move abroad or do you want to move somewhere? And he's like, no, we don't have kids yet, and I'm not going back to work probably. He's stayed working remotely the whole time. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. So we started thinking about where we would want to move, and Lisbon ended up being where we decided to do it. And so we took a vacation there the following summer, and we really fell in love with the city. And then
the vacation?
Oh yeah.
We went to Lisbon, and because it was on your radar already, and then you decided to check it out for once.
Yes.
Check out
a new country. You gotta put your feet on the ground.
Yeah. So we met. We went surfing.
Yes,
which was really fun. I took videos on my GoPro, and I said I would take them off the GoPro. And it is 3 years later, and I have not done that. They still live on the GoPro, and that's it.
That's all right.
But you moved here, which is so exciting.
It is.
Yeah. So then you moved to Lisbon.
Yeah. So we
did the whole expat life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got here about a year ago.
Yeah.
That visa process was a little tough.
I didn't do it, but you would obviously we would talk about it, and it just sounded insane, but worth it.
Worth it. And what's also funny is that Portugal is technically considered an easier visa process for Americans.
Yeah,
so I can't imagine trying to go to some of the countries that are not easy.
Yeah.
I'm putting that in quotations. For anyone who's listening. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
But that's such a cool thing. I feel like I feel like for anyone, we're kind of expected to stay near home, or you left right away. You left the second that you could leave.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, when I was growing up, I was New York, ride or die. And to a degree, I do still feel that, even though I'm not currently in New York. I do feel like I will most likely end up
there.
Back up in New York, because New York is the best city in the world. Wait, what's the J-Lo thing? Fuck you. When I was a young kid in Queens, I used to just
I don't know. This reminds me of when I was Jenny on the block.
When I was Jill on the block.
Jill on the block.
When I was a young kid in Queens, and if you know, you know.
That orange drink.
It's not a thing.
No.
My order was okay. You're not a New Yorker, but you lived there.
Yeah.
What was your bodega order?
I wanted just a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich.
Salt, pepper, ketchup?
No ketchup.
I did nothing. My order was bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll, extra cheese.
I don't know if I ever did extra cheese. I should have. I love extra cheese.
Extra cheese is the move.
Even better though, one of the bodegas that was actually by the plastic surgeon when I worked there, they had a great bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, but they also did iced lattes.
Oh.
They had an espresso machine in
Ooh.
it. So I would get a
white girl
bacon, egg, and cheese and an espresso.
That actually sounds really good. That sounds great.
So
if you know, you know. So you moved to Lisbon, and I feel like you're thriving, you're loving it.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a lot of bumps in the road, but you've been here for a year. We didn't say this earlier, but we're in your yoga studio.
Yes, my little yoga studio.
For Pilates with Kait. Click the link below to subscribe. Click the bell. What else do they say?
I don't know.
I need to figure that out for myself.
I know, because every platform is different.
Yeah. And that's just everything about that is just not typical, but it has worked out.
Yeah.
You're with your husband.
Yeah.
And do you think you'll have kids in Lisbon? Or is it kind of just let's see what happens?
I think that we'd like to have, start our family here. Portugal is well known for being good for young families.
Yeah.
So they're really family friendly.
Yeah.
You do see a lot of kids around here, and it seems like adults let kids be kids, and so we like the idea of starting our family here if that were to happen.
Yeah. So what is happening a lot now, especially with American politics and world politics, the way that they are, is a lot of people are just moving to just easier places to live. And like I said, I do think that I will end up in New York, but sometimes the idea does stress me out.
Yeah.
Just because of America's a mess. But everything, it just feels like a mess. And the great thing about Lisbon, first of all, 300 days of sunshine, one of the safest countries in the world, and you're just away from the noise.
That, and I love public transit. Driving stressed me out a lot. Driving in Austin is stressful.
She seems nice. Everyone who's watching is look how nice and sweet she is. But this one has road rage.
Only because people are bad drivers. That is not my fault.
She's because we VM each other. That's our jam. We VM each other. And this is what will be happening. I'll be listening to a VM and Kait will be hee, life is great. Get the fuck out of my way, you fucking asshole, you piece of shit. So anyway, I saw a squirrel.
Although Bon Iver is playing in the background, nice folksy music. It was always a funny juxtaposition of me driving and what I listen to. Yeah.
Oh, we love we love a juxtaposition. So I think this would be a really good time to just kind of wrap everything up. And your Kait's platform obviously is Pilates by Kait, and one of the reasons why I really like your platform and why it's doing so well and has resonated with 12K subscribers.
Yeah, I got about 12K subscribers on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, is because your whole thing is loving your body. Not caring about like what the scale says or like what the size tag says. And so kind of with all of that in mind and, being like the strong, confident 36-year-old women that we are now, what advice or like what would you say to anyone in their 20s?
If I could like talk to myself, or I could talk to, someone in their 20s that is kind of struggling with whether it is where to go in life or your like self-image in general, is that you have to listen to what you want and what you need versus what the expectation is, whether that's expectation of your family or the career you're in. But yeah, I think that when I was in my 20s, I almost wish that someone was just like go down this path. This is the right path to go. And I think that there is no one right path. And instead, like once I kind of started saying fuck it to that I needed to be smaller or slimmer. Like being in the dance world, I always felt like I was too big. But once I kind of just was like, you know what, I'm just gonna love my body no matter where it's at, it made everything else a lot easier too.
That's first of all, Kait has body yaddy yaddy, curves for days. Look at that ass. Sorry for explaining.
I got a booty. I'm okay with that.
She has the booty. And it's insane that the size expectation, especially for women, is insane. And so I love that your whole thing is just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Just love yourself.
Well, no, like one of the things that felt kind of nice to find out or hear when I started the YouTube channel, especially during the lockdown, was that I got a lot of comments from women that not only were they happy to see like a style of Pilates and yoga where it wasn't about like feel the burn, kind of thing.
Get a six pack if you follow this every day.
Because also a lot of that snake oil, that's not real. That's not how bodies work. I hate that. But I got a lot of people saying, it's so nice when you're doing an exercise and you say, if you need to set your foot down now, like it's okay. And so like I try to make it very clear that you don't have to look like me. Whether it's the exercise itself or just like the placement of my arm or leg, like it's okay. We're all different. We're all beautiful. And you're gonna get stronger and more confident in your body just by listening to what you need, what you want.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think that's a great way of wrapping all of this up, because that is how you should live your life. Because then you could end up with a husband in Lisbon and other things.
10-minute drive away from the beach.
10-minute. Yesterday, we got in a cab, or we got in a, I'll say cab. We got in a cab, €5 at the beach. The sun was there. That was exciting. I got in the water. You had a beer. I had an Aperol Spritz. Then I got a headache. That's okay. Everyone had a great time.
Life is good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I don't have an ending. Okay. So this is all going to be post stuff. But thank you for letting me use all of your equipment here in sunny Lisbon. Check out Pilates by Kait. And yeah, I don't have an ending.
Thank you so much for listening to the Slightly Off Plan podcast. My name is Jillian, and I hope you enjoyed that. Big shout out to Kait. Thank you for housing me and being on my podcast. Thank you, Kait, for the music. Thank you, Kem, for the sound. And once again, thank me for producing, editing, marketing, logo, and doing my own hair. Yes, that's right. I do it all. If you like this, like, subscribe, share with your friends. See ya!